Okay, so today's topic is becoming yourself and what that means. What does it mean to be yourself? And so we'll really get into the science and psychology behind this, and now connect the mind, body, and consciousness all together, as we do, and really bring it full circle of understanding the power of being yourself, like how it truly is the most powerful way you can possibly be. And how do we do that exactly?
Okay.
So I love this quote by Nikola Tesla to kick things off here. So he said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Now, we've talked about this a lot, where when we really break down to what we're made of, we're essentially made out of wavelengths. And then those wavelengths turn into nanoparticles, which turn into particles, which turn into this matter that we see, this body that's moving around. But at its absolute core, we are made up of energy, frequency, and vibration. The entire universe is made up that way. And so we're really starting to understand how the immaterial becomes material, which is really cool, because for a long time it was considered very esoteric and not measurable at all. And now, oh my gosh, things are happening. So this is really exciting. I want to share this with you. This is the Spain scale of emotion. It's a study. So you can see here that it has been validated by the National Library of Medicine, which is an official website of the US government. So it's a really cool study that was done in Spain, and it's also called the Spain scale. So irony, yes. But so what this is it's the science behind learning to be yourself and why it is so powerful. So they were able to, in this study, isolate the frequency leaving the body with such accuracy that they were able to determine exactly which emotion state the person was in. So that we emanate frequencies based on what kind of emotional state we're living in is 100% real. It's now been measured scientifically. So they can take a frequency and say, this person's feeling jealous. This person's feeling despair. This person's feeling optimistic. This person's feeling joyful. This person's feeling anxious, and on to the very, very specific degree of what particular emotion people were feeling. And so this is amazing. And from here's the most interesting part. When they were determining which is the most powerful frequency to emanate off of a person, they found it was the frequency of authenticity. Now we'll get into exactly what is authenticity and what it means. But, we often think in terms of love, God is pure love, and that this feeling of love is the ultimate experience. It's the ultimate energy. And it turns out the energy of authenticity is 4 times the amplitude of love. That's an insane increase in power. So that authenticity is the most powerful state you could possibly be in. So the journey to self-discovery begins with the courage to remove the mask and embrace your authentic self. And we'll kind of talk about masks and how we end up putting these masks on throughout our lives, and why we innocently start to block the expression of our authentic selves. It's always there. It's always at our core. We can't escape it. It is who we are. It's when you're being authentic, you're being 100% in your personal essence. You're being 100% your fullest expression. And what we do is we end up masking that as we grow up and go through all these different years of experience. And so what is authenticity? Let's start there. Because how do we define it? And authenticity means being true to yourself, your values, your beliefs. It requires self-awareness it requires courage, and it also requires vulnerability to remove the masks we wear, to step out as your true self. And the reason for this is we put these masks on in the first place innocently out of fear of abandonment and fear of rejection. And this goes back into our lineage of you wouldn't survive back when we lived in tribe days if you were abandoned or rejected by your tribe. So you put on these personalities to fit in with the environment around you. And it's still like this today. Isolation is the, I would say, number one cause of depression, even beyond being in extreme physical pain, not being able to do the things you want to do. It is the isolation that comes with it that creates the biggest fear of abandonment and rejection. And so we put these masks on. Often when people are sick, they will pretend that they're not. And because of the fear of people not treating them the same and people not spending time with them and essentially abandoning and rejecting them. And so when we put these different personality traits on, we are trying to navigate and fit in with our environment. So if we grew up in a home where we didn't express emotions, and when an emotion was expressed that parent didn't particularly like, then they received rejection or neglect. And so we've all done it, start to act in a certain way to hope to get a better response, a more preferred response from our caregiver, and so on and so forth. And as we go on, we put on more and more of these masks and put more and more layers over our authentic self, and then call it us. We call it our own personality. And then it gets to the point where you actually don't know the difference of where you are and these different personality types that you took on to survive, essentially. So here are some of the signs that we are not in alignment with our authentic self. And again, this is innocent, so nothing to feel guilty about. It's just a way to check in with yourself and see where you are in alignment with your authentic self. And so if you're constantly seeking external validation, so it's like, you do something and you feel like you have to point it out. And so it's that not feeling fulfilled within. So looking without to the environment to have validation for what you're doing is okay or not okay. That is a sign that you are wearing a mask. Because if you were living fully in your authentic self, within your alignment of what's true to you, your values, and you're in your truth, then you wouldn't need to seek validation externally. So another thing that will show that you're probably not living within your authentic self is feeling like you're living someone else's life. So you're not having the joy of the moments in your life. It's more of a going along with to appease those around you. Or even if that's not the case, living in a way where everything just feels dull and numb. So even if you're on your own and you have the opportunity to do and be whatever you want, don't even know what that is, because you've been so out of alignment with who you truly are. You actually don't even know what's fun to you or joyful to you or what you enjoy or what your purpose is. And so that is a sign that you're out of alignment with yourself. And then the other is suppressing your true thoughts and emotions. So thoughts come up that feel good to you or feel right to you, and immediately either you're suppressing them, or it can happen from your environment too, where someone's like, no. And then you're like, oh, okay. And you question yourself, even though it feels true to you and feels right to you. And so it's ignoring your own inner guidance, your own inner feelings about what feels right to you, and just dismissing yourself. So those are the three main signs that you are not in alignment with your authentic self. You're not living in an authentic expression. So how to cultivate a character of authenticity. So in this study that we were talking about earlier, what they noticed is for someone to be in a state of authenticity, they had two components. They had to be speaking the truth, and they had to believe what they were saying. So it's being in a state of integrity, and the truth is always in alignment with integrity. And so one can't exist without the other. And so that's why authenticity can't be faked, because you have to truly believe what you're saying is true. And then that frequency emanates from the body. So it can't be faked because we can feel when someone is not being transparent. Anyone who is listening to this will relate to this, where someone's saying something to you and everything in you is like, no. And so there's many ways of looking at intuition. There is an emerging belief system that our fascia, whatever you want to call it, in our body is actually our intuition system. It picks up the nuances of our environment, and it can pick up the different frequencies. So not only are we emanating frequencies, we can also feel other people's frequencies, but we haven't been trained to do so. And now that the science is there, it's probably time to pay some good attention to this because it's very real. And so when you're having that intuition or sixth sense, that's actually built into your humanness. This is a real thing that we are designed to be able to do. We just didn't know it. And so when someone is speaking something to you or doing something and it is sending off that like spidey sense signal, that is very real. So they could seem authentic, they could seem sincere in what they're saying, and yet something in you is going like, something's off here. That is how you can tell someone is out of alignment with their authenticity. And that's why authenticity can't be faked. It goes the other way as well. So you can tell when someone is telling the truth, when they are being sincere. You can just feel it. It builds trust and respect. And so that's why it just is not integrity, and being in alignment with your own authentic self cannot be faked, and people can tell. So what to expect as you cultivate more and more of that authenticity, you remove more and more of those layers, you can definitely expect so much to change in your life. You're going to notice change in relationships. Some relationships are going to strengthen. People are going to respect you more, and like, oh my gosh, like I've never known this side of you before. And this is so cool. We get to talk about this. And I had no idea you felt that way. And then you will also have the opposite, the erosion. You will have the people that do not like that you're acting like your authentic self. They liked it a lot better when you were being the contortionist that bent into what their perspective of the world was. And so you're going to notice some upheaval in some relationships. You're going to notice stability and growth in others. And you're also going to notice new relationships will emanate into your life, because you're now literally putting out a new frequency out of your body, a new, very powerful frequency, and like attracts like. So you will see that other relationships, new relationships start coming in that match your new frequency. And you're going to notice this in your career as well. If you are someone who is involved in a career or vocation, and you may notice that you can barely stand to be in that environment anymore, or what you were doing as the job itself doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like you anymore. And you may very well completely change the trajectory of your life. I know that happened for me. I was not thinking I was going to be a health educator, and I was very much in investing, and I still love all those things. And yet I couldn't do that as a vocation because it just doesn't fulfill me in the same way. It's more of like a side hobby. And so you're going to notice what your interests are and what you care about doing is going to really change. And your living environment, that can change too. You might move to a new place that feels different to you. You change cities, change homes. So many things can happen in your living environment. You might renovate. There's so many things that can change. And of course, belief systems are going to change, because now when you decide you're going to be your authentic self, it means you're seeking truth for the sake of knowing the truth. It's like dare to know. And you're going to notice your belief systems change. They do. And they change naturally because you're more open-minded, and therefore your perspective will also change. You're going to be able to see things from other people's authentic perspectives and grow and enlighten yourself even more, because you're willing to see the changes, and you're willing to see things differently than you did before, because your ultimate goal is to be in alignment with your authentic self. And then you naturally want to know the truth. You want to know the truth of things. So here's the bottom line. Truth equals love. Truth in action equals authenticity. And the intention of authenticity equals the path to enlightenment. It really is that simple. Not easy at all, not even close to being easy, but simple it is.